pretty sure it's a Lambo, dude. Oh, he wrecked.
Incredible video at the center of a multi-million-dollar fraud trial.
A Bugatti Veyron. It's so rare, you may never see one in your lifetime. Car's driver, Andy House, told police he dropped his phone. When he looked up, he says, he saw a pelican and veered to the right,
straight into the water.
And the rumors were that he'd left the car running because obviously it was his goal.
Just kill the car, get the insurance money.
Bugatti had been very clear that they were not going to sell any parts for this car.
I've heard that the car was sold.
Back in 2019, Houston had also considered buying the car. If anybody was up for it, it was going to be him.
One-of-a-kind thing. If anybody was going to do it, it was going to be you.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
3 years ago, this Bugatti became pretty famous. Well, maybe 2.5 years ago, when Ed Bolian did a story that the car that went into the Galveston Lake was for sale. Now, at the time when he did that story, it actually really wasn't for sale. It was already sold because I was already working on that deal prior to that video coming out, and I had offered $350,000 for the car at the time. Let's start at the beginning. In November of 2009, a guy named Andy was driving down a somewhat highway in Houston, Texas, outside of the Galveston Bay, and allegedly saw a bird fly in front of his window, got scared, and veered right. And to his right was the Galveston Bay. In the months preceding this incident, it came to light that there was a potential case for fraud, that Andy had driven the car into the lake on purpose because of financial issues, potentially. Andy actually spent 9 months in jail after a jury found him guilty of insurance fraud. And the alleged car that went into the water ended up in the hands of his attorney, which he used that title to pay for his lawyer bills at the time. The rumor was that that attorney ended up getting in trouble and giving the car to another attorney for the same situation, where he used that vehicle to pay for his bills as well. There was some funny business going on for about 2012 till about 2018-19. It was housed in this body shop in Texas for the almost entirety from 2009 until 2018-19, when the car was sold to a guy named Frank. He was an avid restoration shop in California, and the person who sold it to him said, it's possible to fix this car for a few $100,000. We'll get it back on the road and we can flip it.
You know, that trailer is designed to have cars facing backwards if they're in optimal condition. What we realized in and around the area of Flagstaff, Arizona, was in fact the windshield was never actually reinstalled, but held to the vehicle under its own weight.
With tape.
Not even with tape, which was clearly because the dash is completely loose, which means that there is absolutely nothing holding the windshield in. Because the under panels are thusly on this pallet, there was no wind-tight opportunities for the car to succeed. So I really feel like I was set up for failure from the beginning. Is this a prank? Is Jake Paul in the dumpster? Is there a prankster around here somewhere?
The windshield situation was almost insult to injury. When we were having issues getting the car picked up, the shop laid out all the pieces on the floor, and my cousins went there and they got what they could. When the car was put on the transport, the shop knew that the windshield was not physically attached to the car, and they loaded the car backwards, so where the wind from the car would hit the car. and it would almost guarantee to take the windshield from the car off the car. And they didn't put any tape, they didn't put anything, and that windshield was upwards of $20,000. I think it was $16,000. And unfortunately, the transport was $7,000, and I had to pay every single thing. I had to replace the windshield out of pocket. I had to pay the transport out of pocket. I didn't want to blame the transporter because had the windshield been glued, it wouldn't have happened. I wanted to blame the shop, but the guy doesn't answer my phone, and he wasn't being very honest with anything else. So I felt that was a dead end. And the guy, Frank, that sold me the car, he had already lost a bunch of money on it too. So it was the first of many things to happen wrong.
How do you feel so far?
I'm excited. It's going to be a fun project.
We're going to probably have it done in 2 weeks, right? That's the idea?
Yeah, but I'm not sure when we're going to start.
Got it. Are you concerned about the condition, or are you optimistic about the condition?
I'm not concerned about it because of the low mileage on it. I think that most of the components aren't going to have any wear issues, which is my more immediate concern. Everything else is just small, fiddly, put it together stuff, really.
We only have to get it halfway off this trailer for it to be safe to winch the rest of the way onto the tow truck.
Very nice.
So I'm not worried about it.
Wheel chocks for safety. My side's clear.
Here we go.
Jesus Christ!
4 months. That was probably my worst case scenario. I actually was in contact with the person that I originally wanted to sell it to, giving him like weekly updates when I first got the car in 2020. So we got it in June. By October, I promised him a working car. What are we, almost in 2024 now?
I don't care about it so much from a wow, it's a massive performance car aspect, simply because we have those. It's not exactly the first one. I like it just because of the work involved with it. I enjoy finding problems and fixing them, and there's going to be a lot of that on this car.
The most damage that we see in this area on the car is these right here, is the turbo manifold and exhaust manifold housings. We need to get those out of there because I've got to go deeper and see the damage beyond that. I mean, I want to replace the turbos already. I think the number one thing to replace in the engine area and the engine system would be the exhaust, because that's got the most steel on it. So that's the easiest thing to rust. But after that, I mean, everything else looks fine. I mean, all the fluid looked good, gearbox looked good, everything exposed looked really good. So today's objective is just to get at least one side of the turbos out. Turbos are too rusted, and it sucks because I told the guy, so those turbos look really rusty, and he was like, no, they're fine. And I was like, okay, cool. I purchased the car for $400,000, and I was given some sort of summary of what the car needed. So from the guy, his name was David, he worked at the shop, he sent me a list. What I needed: AC condensers, a couple of radiator fans, rear ring control module. He said the hydraulic system looks okay. The amplifier for the audio is bad. The blower motor doesn't work. The front lower spoiler has a little crack in it. So the turbos are okay. They have surface oxidation. He says I'd replace all the bolts except the titanium ones, but you could find those on an R8. And I said, wow, this is June 29, 2020. I said, did you get the interior done, and can you take pictures of the wire harness? And as you can see, he just doesn't respond here, doesn't respond. So I call him and I'm like, man, and I'm thinking, that doesn't sound like more than $100,000. So this car, see, I'm gonna take this car a little bit farther. I think this is the one I'm gonna tune. This is the one I'm gonna build. This is the one that's gonna be special, right? So we'll go from there and we'll figure it out. But basically, I think this car will make $1,500.
You said there's a bunch of little connections there?
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of little connections. Most of them are vacuum lines. Once I'm able to loosen that one, I'll have to do one for the other turbo, and then it should drop out of there. So basically I got everything loose right here. I've just got 3 things we got to do. The air intake pipes, which are up on the top, and I have to disconnect those. And then this rusty rod back here connects this vacuum chamber, and I need to disconnect that. And basically the biggest problem with that is it's all rusted up and it's hard to get to.
What's good is that I kind of feel like we can like replace parts of these, because this is the major component of this turbo, and that one is, this is cast aluminum, correct?
Some alloy, yeah.
Yeah, so we could, you know, powder coat this. The steel parts.
Yep.
If those manifold bolts have any rust in them.
Yeah, I know. I tried. Haven't even tried.
That's one of the things I'm like, maybe we shouldn't touch the manifold, you know? But it looks like we might have to.
Yeah,
it's right here.
And there doesn't appear to be a lot of rust on them, and they're really long nuts that are on there, so I'm hoping the rust didn't get up inside.
Oh,
but I just can't pull it more.
Hear me out. Can we cut them? I feel like they're pointless.
They have to be replaced 100%.
So cut them. Get the shears and cut them off.
250? Okay.
That's still much.
First thing we're cutting on the SCUBA guy. It's going down. One. Where's the second one?
This is busted knuckles waiting to happen.
Andy's really pessimistic.
No, I'm not. I was very optimistic. I saw the future.
Okay, you're free. Andy does very technical work, and I do the very brunt, destroy everything work.
Sit, watch out. So much for taking it out in one unit, huh?
This is half of a turbo. So not really any rust in here. I mean, there's a little bit of oxidation.
How does the bearing feel?
Bearing feels fine. Spins good. All this surface rust. So I kind of believe that we're gonna be able to service these. These are easy, you know. This is probably working. This is the only issue that we have here with this rod, but this is just so f***ed. I mean, there's nothing you can do with this. It gotta go in and out.
Yeah,
So rebuildable turbos is better than broken turbos. When we took the turbos off, it took almost 3 days. It was insane. It was definitely the hardest part of the disassembly of the car was the steel. Everything was rusted shut. I mean, you couldn't turn a bolt. We had taken, oh my gosh, every precaution to just be so careful with removing all these pieces. But I feel like the inner mechanic and precision technician in both Andy and I, we ended up just giving up because we just had to hack them off, and that was the way it went down. It was pretty wild, but once I accepted, like I said, I accepted the fact that this car was just not as I originally thought. All bets were off, and we just made it happen. Well, after 3 days, 4 days actually, it took to get these turbos off the car. This is a set of Veyron turbos and manifolds. Andy worked tirelessly to take them off. Let's walk to the car, I'll show you real quick. Andy and I have decided that they are not meant to come off the Veyron while the engine is still in the car. Now, Andy can attest to you on how many days he worked on taking these turbos off. He's picking up a pile of disgusting cut rusted nuts that he had to literally maneuver. I mean, I don't know, how hard was this? On a scale of 1 to 100, this is 100?
Some of them were 100 and some of them were 5. The problem with them is that they're actually an 8mm Allen, but they were so rusted that they instantly stripped out, and they were in such a position that you couldn't get something to grab them from the outside. So most of them I had to cut with a Dremel.
Everything that was steel was bad, which was almost every sensor, every single piece on the bottom of the engine was bad. There was some hard lines that were rusted. All the coolant pipes were bad. Everything was bad basically on the car. And at one point I was approached by Freddie and Ed Bolian if I would sell the project to Tavares. And I thought about it. And what's great news is that there's no corrosion or anything inside of the head or going into the valve or any of that area, which was kind of a gamble, I guess you could say. Me and Andy were 50-50 on what was gonna be right there. You can see some oxidation on the metal of the aluminum, the cast aluminum here, but that'll all go away once we clean it all off and get it all tidied up. On the other side, here we haven't removed the pipe, but as you can see, I mean, right in here is the brunt of the issue. So the most damage on this Veyron was literally the exhaust system. I mean, the cats, turbos, and headers. So here's the manifolds. There are 4 cylinders into each other. Obviously, we put these together so we could transport them, because I'm gonna send these off and have them rebuilt and hopefully repaired, because this is looking it's not looking too good. I don't know. 50-50, these are gonna work. New turbos from Bugatti, turbos alone, not the manifolds, okay? $7,900 each. Manifolds separate. These here are $4,400 a piece. So essentially what you're looking at here is about $50,000 in parts. These pieces right here, which there was, not only was there a spider web in them, there's a little bit of rust, but catalytic converters are made of platinum, correct? I think that's right. If you look in here, this looks really good. This one here has some oxidation and stuff, but I think with, I don't want to say heat, but this would clean itself out. These pipes from Bugatti are $12,000 each. These are the primary catalytic converters. I expected them to be much more. I was kind of surprised, 12,000, because the exhaust system alone, just the muffler's 40,000. So, prices with this car so far all over the board, we don't even know what we're doing sometimes. I thought that I was gonna be in for like a 3-month project, and part of me didn't want to leave that much money in motion. But once I had started to make a little bit of progress, I kind of realized that I had it under control and I didn't want to give up. Plus, it took me 6 months to make the deal with Frank originally, so I didn't want to lose the opportunity for the content, the story, and how hard I worked for it. So there's a guy here in Vegas that I like for turbo rebuilds, and he's been doing a very good job in the Porsche world. Obviously, same family, VW. We're gonna take these over to him right now and see what he thinks of the turbos. They're rebuildable or they're salvage. Nowhere to put them down. There's your Veyron turbos. Well, there's still 2 more, but what do you think? Yeah. What do you think? I just want to go, just rebuild them, We can do whatever you want, whatever's the fastest. Kind of want to get the car started, because I'm very curious to see if this engine's good. Okay, so Sean, funny story about Sean. Sean's like one of the smartest people in our industry. He's, building all this crazy turbo stuff, making the fastest Porsches in the world. And he does it all white label for all the biggest shops around the country. So this is Sean's hobby, and he doesn't really care about money.
So he just has a really good time every day. All those machines are just there for personal use. And that's why no one really knows about Sean unless you're like, I don't know, a big shop, you know, one of the like a Gentani or, you know, I don't know, all these turbo shops. But he does all their work and makes all these cars go for them undercover, which is pretty cool. But he actually recommended that we go see Cassidy. Cassidy is the one who helped me with the downpipes on the test downpipes on my exhaust for the red Veyron that I have. So we went over there and we mocked them up, and then we created a jig and we sent those out and made a production line for the Rift exhaust. So Cassidy's gonna clean these up, sandblast them, but I really want to go back to the office and get the exhaust off the car so he could actually make those pipes too, because I do want to do a full decat, because I think that would be a really fun car. In the beginning when I bought the car, I never thought I would actually have to go to Bugatti to buy any pieces or parts. I thought I could just source everything on my own because Bugatti refused to repair the car. They basically wanted the car crushed and out of their system. After I bought the car, I've been a Veyron or Bugatti owner, you know, in the past, and I currently had a red car at the time, so that was my third Veyron. So I had met quite a bit of the corporate staff and the team, and they were really receptive to me in just personally. And when they found out that I bought the car, I think they were okay with me taking on the project. I think they wanted me to finish it, because I think there's two different people at Bugatti. There's the accountants and the people that want to make sure that the brand has XYZ and hierarchy of everything, and then there's like real humans that connect with the owners. And so those people, you know, the president, the American technical director, the people that work at the dealers, the parts guys, the parts managers, everybody was cheering me on. So I had to sign some paperwork that was very specific on making sure that I didn't put Bugatti in a bad light, which I agreed with. I would never do that to a brand that was helping me in something that I got myself into. And I had to sign a waiver of warranty, which basically meant that if I broke the part on install, they wouldn't fix it for me, which was really standard. So I felt like that was okay. But you know, it was a challenge that was well received by all of the challengers, if that makes sense.
And that's gonna come with the bumper. Gotta get all this stuff off here and just start fresh.
About a month in, I felt moderately defeated.
I am a little worried about these gaskets in here. It could just be dirt. Ooh. Ooh.
The turbos were bad. Every wire in the car was bad. Every module was bad.